Here's a controversial truth that's going to make some coaches angry here. Most so-called swim teams are just exercise groups. And if you're one of those programs, you're not just failing your swimmers, you're actively contributing to the stagnation of our sport. All right, and so let's break it down. There's one fundamental element that separates real swim teams from glorified lap swimming classes. And if you're missing this, you might as well be running Zumba or Orange Theory. So here's why hosting regular swim meets at your facility isn't just a nice to have, it's the absolute cornerstone of what makes this great sport a sport and not just an exercise squad. I'll show you exactly why this matters. Let's break down the common excuses I hear, and I'm going to give you a clear path to transforming your exercise group into a legitimate swim team. If you have an open mind, let's open it up. Now, before you dismiss this as just another opinion, let me share something shocking with you. USA Swimming membership numbers, let's look at those. They've been stagnant at around 400,000 swimmers for the past 15 years. So that's not growth, that's stagnation. And any organization that's stagnant is declining. So today I'm going to show you exactly how we can change that. But first, let me tell you about a conversation I had recently with a program that was struggling with retention. Here's what happened. They have great coaches. It's a beautiful facility, solid skill, instruction, their training philosophy. It's great. But something was missing for them. Their kids were getting bored. Parents are questioning the value, and their numbers, you just see them drop off at that age 12 to 13. So folks are just leaving the program in droves at that age. And I saw it my whole life growing up on swim team as well. These kids would get burnt out and bored. And when I asked folks about their competition schedule, this program in particular, the response was, oh yeah, well, we have a robust meet schedule. There's lots of meets all over the state that we can go to. And we said, well, how many meets does your swim team host? And they said, well, we don't host swim meets. So in a later video, I'll explain why the phrase hosting a swim meet has started to sound like a curse word to many swimming programs. But this is exactly the problem that we're talking about. This is it. The secret is there is no secret. Not hosting swim meets is costing your program money, growth potential, and most importantly, it's robbing swimmers of the true sport experience they deserve. We got good exercisers, we got swimmers, we got athletes over here. All right, number one, the definition of a sport versus an exercise group. Let's break it down here. Let me be crystal clear. Swimming up and down a pool, no matter how technically perfect, is not a sport. It's exercise. What transforms swimming from the exercise that you do in the water into a sport is competition. That's not just my opinion. It's the fundamental definition of what makes any physical activity a sport. So think about it. Would you call a basketball team that only practices but never plays games a real team? Of course not. That would be a basketball exercise group. Now, the same goes for any other sport. The game, the competition, the actual playing of the sport is what makes it real. Okay to separate the practice from the playing of the sport of swimming. We've created this really bizarre model where kids just stare at a black line for hours, perfecting technique and building their VO2 max and endurance this and sprint that, but rarely, if ever, do they actually get to play the sport that they're training for. You guys have exercise groups. Did you know that almost 80% of swim teams in the United States, 80% have not hosted a swim meet in the last 2 years? Think about that. 80% of swim teams call themselves teams and they haven't run a swim meet. Based on our data, teams that host regular meets see retention rates improve by over 2x in the first year. And this is not a coincidence. It's because these swimmers are actually getting to experience the sport that they signed up for. Crazy, right? Revolutionary. Sounds a little obvious. All right, number two, the impact on growth and development. So here's where this really gets serious. When you don't host regular swim meets at your facility or the facility that you rent, you have space at, you're not just missing out on the revenue stream. Hello, you're actively stunting the growth and development of your swimmers and the sport itself. Now, when your swim team hosts regular competitions, here's what we see in these young athletes. Number one, they build confidence and resilience. The second is they learn goal setting abilities and they learn how to overcome adversity. They experience a decrease in anxiety. This is key in this generation. Young swimmers create lifelong bonds with one another. One of the beautiful parts of sport is having those friends for life. But here's what happens when meets are rare or require long distance travel. Well, the first one, parents get frustrated, the time commitment, and they discourage the sport altogether. They discourage their kids' participation. The kids lose interest without regular competitive goals, and the program's culture immediately suffers without shared competitive experiences. You see it disintegrate, it dissolves, it erodes. You miss huge opportunities to attract new swimmers when you're just having an instructional stare at a black line program, and the sport remains stagnant. It doesn't go anywhere. It's boring. So breaking down the common excuses. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, Charlie, here's the deal. You don't know our situation. We can't host meets because now let me stop you right there. All right. I've heard every excuse in the book, and that's exactly what they are. They're excuses. Our pool is too short. Our pool isn't a standardized length. We don't have enough deck space. We don't have enough staff. The facility owner won't allow it. It's too expensive. We tried and it wasn't profitable enough. So if one of those excuses is you, here's the truth. These are not real obstacles. They're just excuses. I've seen teams host successful meets in 4-lane pools. I've seen incredibly successful swim meets hosted in 17-yard pools, an odd length pool. I've seen swim meets run with minimal staff or no staff at all, using modern technology like Swimmingly, our platform. It's wonderful. I've seen creative solutions for deck space. The real obstacle isn't your facility or your resources, it's your mindset. You're thinking about meets the wrong way. You're thinking about swim meets like a coach thinks about meets. You see them as a necessary evil, and you want to run the instruction and the group and the training 99% of the time. Most folks think of it as this huge, overwhelming event, like a championship meet at a major aquatic center, but it doesn't have to be, and we aren't recommending that it is. So here's the solution. Weekly in-house swim meets. Think of them as mini meets. Here's what you need to understand. Modern swim meets don't have to be 4-hour marathons with hundreds of swimmers. They should be 60 minutes, no more. Fun, high-energy events that bring your community together and give your swimmers regular weekly opportunities to compete and race and build those bonds. So here's what a successful weekly swim meet cadence looks like. A 60-minute competition max, including warm-up. 3 to 4 events max. Focus on fun and participation, high energy. Anything can be high energy for 60 minutes. Parent involvement, make it high. And then you're going to see immediate results and recognition. It's high energy, high impact, 60 minutes. Done. The benefits, immediate. Regular competition creates more opportunity for everyone. Competition at the same pool as where you practice. This is key. Guys, lean into this. It matches the expectation that parents have for youth sports because they're going to the same place. There's no travel. There's no hotel stay. There's no having to skip school to get to a meet on Friday across the state. You can increase and optimize revenue for your program. You have marketing opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise have. Remember, a swim meet is the perfect event to great content for your program. This builds community, and finally, it increases retention for your program. It's a wonderful thing. Here's the best part. Saved it for last for you guys. When you start running swim meets regularly, you're going to figure this out. You're going to figure out how to market your swim team effectively. You're going to figure out how to streamline operations. You're going to figure out how to create excitement and engagement. You're going to figure out how to build a real sales funnel for your program. Begin to understand how to grow your aquatics program locally. So most coaches aren't the best marketers ever, but you will be. So if you're ready to transform your program with a modern solution, an all-in-one platform that makes hosting swim meets simple in the way that we're describing it, check out our link below. It's in the description. It's in the links. All right. So finally, here we go. Let me paint you this beautiful picture of what's possible when you embrace this model. So instead of becoming just another exercise option for kids, you become a true sports program. Your swimmers don't just practice, they play. They compete, they achieve, they grow, and they do it together. They do it under your guidance. You are the expert. Your program becomes the cornerstone of competitive swimming in your community. Think about that. The cornerstone of competitive swimming in your community could be you. Parents see value just beyond exercise. Kids stay engaged because they have regular goals to work toward. Your team culture is going to immediately change, and it's going to thrive on the shared experiences of competition on the weekly. Now, most importantly, you contribute to the growth of our sport. Because when swimming is accessible, when competition is weekly and fun, when the barriers are low and the sport is accessible, that's when we'll see those membership numbers start to climb past 400,000, where they've been stuck for the last 2 decades. So bottom line, if you're running a swim program without regular competition at your facility, you're doing it wrong. And you have a choice to make. You can continue to be an exercise group, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Zumba, Orange Theory, water aerobics, they all serve their purpose. But if you want to be a real swim team, if you want to level up, and if you want to truly serve the swimmers and grow the sport, it's time to stop making excuses and start hosting meets. It's time to give your swimmers what they signed up for, not just practice. We're not talking about practice, but the opportunity to play the sport of swimming. The future of swimming isn't in more practice time or better drill techniques. It's in making the sport itself accessible. And sport means competition, engaging and fun weekly competitions. That's how we'll grow past 400,000 in USA Swimming membership for this great sport of ours. That's how we'll create lifelong swimmers. And that's how the sport will continue to thrive for generations to come. So I ask you, where do we go from here?